Are we gonna? Well,
Oh, yeah.
okay, here we are.
Okay.
So we are heading out. What we're looking for a dark spot
Uh-huh.
to look at the Northern Lights.
Right.
Wow, that's so cool.
That would be cool.
That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
see, we're leaving the lights of the city behind.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sure.
oh my goodness.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. You know, Boston Harbor is pretty safe.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, that it's interesting you mentioned that because when I thought of Capitol Peak,
Yeah.
do you remember last time when
I
we were
do,
there?
and you know,
Ah,
we were almost there, but then we had to turn around and we had to watch out. There were some bad guys there.
there was that truck
Mm-hmm.
that was parked and there was nothing anywhere around.
right.
There was like no good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, that
Yeah.
I still get chills. You know what
I
I'm
do
saying?
too. You know, it's a good thing we got
Ah.
out of there.
It is a good thing we got out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? That person might have thought we were infringing on their crime.
Right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It said Northeast Washington is the best place
It probably is.
to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be an interesting drive.
Yeah, that would be.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And then Olympic National Park. Thank you for wanting to do this. Thank you for calling me about it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
You bet. Yeah, 'cause that would be really neat. Yeah, if we see it, that's great. And if we don't, well, at least we had girls' night out.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And it's just good to get out of the city.
Oh my God, is it ever?
Yeah, I mean, it is just so weird, you know?
It's getting really strict. Now, speaking of weird, have
Mhm.
you seen the movie Sound of Freedom? No.
No.
Is that it? Is that the name of it?
I think it is.
Sound of Freedom. Yes.
Mhm.
And have you heard about the media being really against it and making fun of it?
Oh, yeah. You know, that's really something.
It's I did not expect. I think no one did. Right? Isn't that sort of the shock? Is
Mm-hmm. Sure.
that they could maybe have said, "Oh, it was a bad movie," or said, but like bad acting, whatever.
Right.
But which it's not. I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's really good, but
Sure.
but it's weird that they're saying. I think that's what drives me nuts about the left.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you remember, like, I don't know, like, I thought about it tonight and had a really specific memory, two memories of
Yes.
closely related time.
Uh-huh.
And it was, I would say, early 90s.
Right.
That Newsweek, we could maybe even look it up, that Newsweek
Sure.
did and Newsweek is like a liberal, right?
Right.
Did a huge sex trafficking article thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was on the cover. It was totally like on the cover.
Yes.
And it was like this really big deal. And so there was somebody wants to go like super fast.
Oh, yeah. We'll let 'em
So let's just not drive them crazy. They might live out here and
Mm-hmm.
just know this place. This is sort of new turf, not new, but we just don't come out here that much.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember it because like I fell asleep reading it, and my roommate came home and was laughing because I was like half dressed, and there was like this weird thing about sex on the cover of Newsweek.
Right.
So they were really, and at the same week, they had it in the New York Times. It was kind of like in this big giant, pull out whatever section.
Sure.
And the one in the Times was more about like third world, like, trafficking. But it was kind of maybe the first time I remember just seeing it sort of splashed around. I'm not saying it hadn't been, but 92. they were really pushing it for some
They sure
reason.
were.
And I remember like this, oh, thank you for putting up with me. This proofreader I was proofreading with, and the article, like the newspaper was sort of splayed out in this law firm, and we were all just kind of eating sushi and waiting for a job.
Right.
And he was saying, oh, the New York Times, they're such a nanny state. They think the whole world is like Leave It to Beaver or something, you know. And he was this kind of like sophisticated British guy that, and I thought he's got a point, you know. Why do we think all cultures have to be like ours, you know?
Right.
But there was no denial of it, you know, that anything like that existed. And now it's weird that there's like this just complete denial. And it's odd that they went from like pushing it, right? Like to really pushing like sex trafficking and, you know, whatever, just all over the place.
Right.
I don't know. But it seems like it's indicative of the left. I remember someone once said, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be talking so much, that it just reminded him of like a cheetah just running around.
Yes.
And the cheetah just wants to catch the prey. The cheetah doesn't care, like, are you being consistent, or, you know, in the 80s, everyone here drove a Volvo that said, question growth bumper stickers. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
And now I hear people on the far left saying, we can let as many people in the U.S. as we want, you know. And I remember this guy asking this woman, and he's like, is there a limit, you know, with some Yale grad or something?
Right.
And it was this big radio show, and he said, well, you know, is there a limit? Like, you know, when do you say too many is too many, or enough is enough? And she's like, no, you don't get it. There is never, you know. There is, and I just thought, does she just want us just to build like tall skyscrapers, like all of like a Philip K. Dick novel, right? Where it's just like the last piece of grass is like in a clover leaf in Oklahoma. I don't know. So
I don't know. It's hard
what
to
did you
say.
think of that? Do you think? I mean, is that just an odd response?
That is odd, you know. And then I think then what they do is they deny it afterwards, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just so weird.
It's painful, isn't it?
It is.
It's I don't know. I saw another kind of interesting guy. I don't know how I came across him. And he was British too. It was just like on a YouTube this morning that just sort of came by. And he said, you know, in the old days it was sort of like just piles of stuff in the street you had to worry about with horse dung. And he's like, now that's kind of just how it feels. It's just kind of boring, weird thing, you know. It's just weird. So,
and you know, people now a lot of them are so weird.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really
it's just
something.
What is going on, right? What is going on? And I don't know if they're that weird all over the world. It seems sort of contained. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it sure
I don't know. I hear that like in Uganda or something, people are pretty normal. Or, that it I don't know if it's like this kind of affliction of the West or whatever. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow. So it's getting dark, isn't it?
It is getting really dark.
And Nutty Crazy Me, right? I always go back to like the whole Frankus thing. But there is, you know, but other people will say that too. They'll go to the World Economic Forum or, you know, different things. And Putin, whether you like him or not, I'm sorry, this morning I just kind of caught up on some things and just sort of went to some kind of smaller YouTubes. But, you know, it was weird because he was talking about this kind of weirdness that you're talking about. Yeah. That we're sort of accepting as not weird, right?
Right.
And, you know, like when I was like dealing with the state, this guy came up to me and he had like this giant, he had like all these buttons on. It was almost like I was at TGI Fridays or something, right? Where they've got the little flare pens and stuff. Right. And I was just like, whoa, is this the state? And he had like, and some of the buttons were really big, like dinner plates. They were like huge. Right. And they said things like, you know, I'm a I'm a him, he pronoun and stuff. And I just thought, like, wow, like, this is so crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And not to be disrespectful to anyone, but it's just like as any other time in history, have people had to do this, right? You know,
Right.
it really felt like Mr. Rogers. It felt odd, and then I realized, like, how much money is someone making from the printing off of all this? Like,
Exactly.
you know, that they have to print out all these things about, and I don't know. I remember the first time going somewhere where it happened, where these people were like really concerned, like, are we calling you the right thing? Are we blah blah? And then I went to the restroom, and there was no soap in the bathroom, and there was actually feces on the floor. The toilet was overrunning, and I thought it's so weird that I just said, I don't care what you call me, I just want a place that's sanitary, right? And it seems like it's a way to sort of like not have to be sanitary, like we're going to be. Like, we're just going to work with words as opposed to, like, real reality.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's weird.
It is so weird.
It's really weird. And the weird Putin speech. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet here. No,
but you know, weird. And, you know, I'll tell you, I mean, it's just like all of a sudden, you know, we would be sanitary, and all of a sudden it's changed like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, it really has. And it's changed, and I was kind of trying to bring this up in something where I was watching a video, another video, right? But it's something I'm sure you've been thinking about too.
Yes.
This man is an archivist, and he's got like all kinds of really incredible footage from the 60s in LA. And they don't want us to know.
No.
You know, whenever I talk to the Marxists, they say, oh, it's complex, and there's all these problems, and there's social, you know, they love the word social, right? Social issues, social problems, social blah, blah. And then they'll say, and they don't want you to know that, no, it's not impossible. This place was perfectly fine once, you know, and there were, like, you know, amusement parks, like this place called Ocean Park in LA, and, you know, where people are just, you know, walking around, and, you know, everyone's safe, and, you know, and now things are getting more violent. You're right. Like, I saw a thing where, like, fights are breaking out on cruise ships now, and just places where that never happened. But the weird, it's completely bizarre. The weird thing that Putin was saying, and I don't, you know, I'm not saying I'm pro or against Putin or anything, but it's just what he was saying as a leader of Russia, was that basically the U.S. is facing like its own internal culture war. But for Russia, what we're talking about is an invasion. Because they have their own values that they were built on from you know, forever, right? Until kind of the communist thing got to them. But it's just, oh my God, are we going to see them?
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness.
Nope, I was hoping we would, but I don't think we're gonna.
Well, you know what? We might have to go further on another night.
We might have to.
But you know what? Maybe we'll go back downtown and we'll see what's going on there.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting up with me.
Oh, no problem. You know,
all right.
It is
I'm
just
sorry,
good to get away and
get out.
Right.
And, yeah.
Because, boy, I'll tell you. And then my friend, he said that a couple came into Goodwill and they had a knife, and the police were called. Isn't that weird?
Yes, that's so weird.
Yeah.
By the way, I wrote to the newspaper about the naked man incident. The one time I don't have my camera, right? I mean, although when I walk the dog, I don't always bring it. I just thought it's early. I'm just going to take him out to go potty, like around the block. I didn't expect, you know, 3 cop cars and this fully naked man. And oh my God, all of that wildness. Here we are. We're in Boston Harbor. And I remember a friend came out to visit was at the East Coast, and he just was tilting, and he saw it on a map, and I think he was thinking it'll be like Boston, like they'll have beans and lobsters, and there was nothing, right? There's not even a gas station there.
Oh yeah.
And so that poor friend. So
yes.
here we are with all of our little I don't know. These signs always drive me crazy. They're not allowed in Hawaii. They're considered like pollution.
Right.
They're considered just a bad, garbagey thing. So
Yeah, for
I don't know.
sure.
Maybe I picked that up in Hawaii of being too sensitive to all that stuff. Little ego things. So we'll see you when we're downtown.